Shelly Palmer. He is the author of Digital Wisdom. Shelly, thanks for talking to us about this. I want to go first to that last stat. Is this going to be the whole defining thing about Google? I mean, 99% in 2004, 90% in 2014. Hasn't changed much in terms of what it relies on to get its revenue.
Look, Google does one thing really well. It monetizes the currency of intention. When you go to Google, you don't intend to be at Google, you intend to do something else. What people are accusing Google of right now, what you just started to talk about, is that now Google wants to keep you. And how do they want to keep you? They'll give you some choices that are better curated choices that you might intend to go find, and in which case Google will go, hey, click on this, I'm getting paid. So Google actually has figured out a bunch of different ways to separate you from your hard-earned cash. What most people don't think about is that Google is not a search engine. At no time has it ever been a search engine since it went public. It's an advertising optimization engine. That's all it does, and it only needs to be better than the next best search engine, which, by the way, is there one?
Hardly. Hardly anymore, Shelly. You make a good point, which is why it is so pervasive in the market. Yeah. Strong revenue growth, but also margins at about 20%. So let's talk about the next 10 years. What will Google look like in 2024? What does it hope it will look like in 2024?
First of all, anyone who tries to project out 10 years is going to not only miss the mark, but it will be far less interesting than really what 10 years is going to look like, which should be wondrous and remarkable. But let's just be clear. Google is the most innovative tech company of all of the innovative tech companies. They've got an unbelievable war chest of cash. You mentioned Project Loon. You're looking at the self-driving cars. Imagine a world where not only do you have Google Maps and Google Earth, you type in a search for a restaurant and the car pulls up and takes you there without a driver. That's the kind of world you could look at, all courtesy of Google, and they're thinking the same thing. Google's also, there's one kind of super important point about Google. It's one of the few companies, maybe the only company on earth, as the internet grows, it will actually grow in a correlative way. Right now, you've got something like 2.7, 2.8 billion people connected to the public internet. They say that by the end of 15, we're going to have about 3 billion, and by the end of 20, about 4 billion. Google will literally get that much bigger as the internet grows, because what do? As soon as you get connected, you go to search for stuff. And where do you search? There's really only one place.
And I have to ask you, Shelly, is that a bad thing for consumers, for internet users, if all of this consolidation, if you say, happens at Google? I mean, it's basically truly the heart of the internet right now.
Wow. First of all, you're above my pay grade. Is this antitrust? Is this whatever? You'll have to ask somebody who's an expert in that. What I will tell you is that right now, Google's do no evil, don't be evil, I'm not evil, we're Google, it rings kind of true. At some point, absolute power corrupts absolutely. At some point, really, there's going to be Google and everything else. To be fair, if you look at Facebook, if you look at Twitter, if you look at Yahoo, if you look at some of the pure play tech companies that sell advertising, each one of them has a slightly different way to aggregate people and a different way to bring in advertiser value. Google right now is actually struggling in mobile because people don't tend to follow through on a mobile click the way they do on a desktop. When you search for something on a desktop, you actually intend to go do something about it. On mobile, you kind of don't transact past a point. You're kind of on your way to do something, and you're psychologically not quite in the same place. This isn't a technological problem, it's a human behavior issue, right? You're on the go, and you're just not parked trying to accomplish a task. So Google's not the only game in town, but they're a great game. And if I was going to bet money, is their next 10 years going to look like the last 10 years from a growth standpoint? You know, like a 30% annual rate of return adjusted? I'd go, yeah, pretty much.
Wouldn't bet against it,
I wouldn't bet against it anyway, no.
Thanks so much for your perspective. Appreciate seeing you.